Hey everybody, good to be back with you. Mike Fairborn here for Market Movers, sitting in for Mr. Ben Watson, who I believe is out on the road this week, but it's good to be back here with you today. Plenty to look at in terms of what moved this week and what may move into next week. So we'll dive into that momentarily. Would love to say hello to each of you here today. William, David, how's it going, you guys, as well as Scott, Jay Richardson. We've got David T. again. Yep, Chris B. Scott, Greg, and all. Good to have you on board. I might be a little repetitive there as I keep naming the same people, but there you have it. Folks, I'm joined in the chat by a good friend, colleague of mine for quite some time. I'd say, Cam, we're probably going on close to 20 years, at least 15 that I've known Cam. But great to have Cam on board. Does a great job on his discussions and everything, his classes, and great to have him here filling in for me, who would normally be in the chat. So thank you, Cam. You can follow us on X, Cameron May, CS, Mike Fairborn, CS. My account is currently suspended. I just want to state that if you do go there, you might need to wait if you want to take a look at anything, because I can't post anything either, folks. And it just so happens that that does coincide with a sabbatical that I'm taking next week. The two are not connected. I'm not suspended because of any issues, so I just want to make that clear. A sabbatical is just an event that we all go on where we get effectively a month off here at Schwab. Everybody in our group does, and I'm just on the first rotation of it here. But yeah, it's just kind of funny. I'm also suspended on X, and so it looks it could look weird, but yeah. So hey, looking forward to this last class for a little while, and good to be here with you. So let's do this. Got plenty to discuss. We've got a shorter time frame here to make those discussions within about 25, 30 minutes or so. So let's go ahead and dive on into some disclosures to get going here. Information here is for general information purposes only. Some additional points listed. Be mindful of paper money software application is for education purposes only. Now, past performance is no guarantee of future results. Investing does involve risk, including the loss of principal. There's no guarantee that the execution of a stop order will be at or near the stop price. And believe it or not, that is all we've got. But that's just fine with me. We're going to go ahead and take a look at, in fact, that's great. Happy to jump into this. Oh, thank you, BJ. And David, yep, others is good to, I've never had one of those before, but I am looking forward to it very much. So, for sure. Okay, everybody. Hey, well, let's jump in here. Mighty Mouse, welcome to you, as well as Sharon, Posh, Vic, and others just joining us, RS. Okay, so up top here, so looking at the markets in general, we did see some ascending triangles take shape within this trend. We saw another one, we broke out. Now, last time we did hit an ascending triangle, we extended higher, we went sideways, and we broke up again. We came back down and tested that support. I've kept that line in because we've already touched it one time. These can be very interesting diagonal lines to keep in place here. And because they can represent support over periods of time. So we'll see what we get on it. But folks, anytime we're hitting an all-time new high, I realize it was a little bit, and day's not done yet, of course, but it is a little bit of a candlestick pattern as we look at it right now. I mean, the day's not over. We got an hour left, but that's not only a doji, but it's a harami right now, or somewhat referred to as an inside day, but clearly trading within the body of the candle. We'll see where it ends up. It's clearly not that right now, but keep an eye on that. Just as a side note too, if you do start to take out, as we're talking about candlestick patterns, if you start to take out this low right there, what that could mean is, that's where they say, hey, well, if you take out the low after this, well, that's could be considered the follow through. And we'll see if we do back off a little bit. Remains to be seen. The market's been strong regardless of the government being shut down. Now, not all aspects of the government are shut down right now. I mean, not all departments of the government. There are some essential departments, obviously the police and other areas, firefighters. Those remain open, of course. But the markets are still, generally hanging in there, which is, it's interesting. But the equity portion of the market does respond differently from the government. There's not a complete connection between the two. And many of these, obviously, we're dealing with publicly held companies. And so, although many of them do get their revenue from the government. So it's interesting to see how it would unfold. I'm sure some of those companies would be impacted, though, based upon the government being shut down. But here you go. Collectively, it is up. And when we see that being up, let's just run through here real quick. NDX also may have hit, briefly an all-time high. That is the $25,000 mark, 25,000 level. And Russell was really one of the bigger winners today, a little bit of a shooting star right now in terms of a candlestick. We'll see if the market rejects off that, moving from 25,000 to 2,500 level on the Russell. And always, of course, folks, be mindful that if you are getting those candles, it's the next bar you need to be focused in on. What are we seeing afterwards? Do we close lower? If so, sometimes it'll test at lower levels, and that can be something to keep in mind for next week. I'm just throwing it out there for that reason. In fact, the market's not even closed, as I mentioned. Still got about 55 minutes left, but if it does look like this, take a look into next week, and maybe there is a follow through on that, maybe not. We have seen quite a bit of strength, and I will say this: anytime you're hitting all-time new highs on the S&P 500 and the NDX, the NASDAQ 100, go ahead and take a look over here at just market posture in general. It gives you a really good idea, if you're hitting all-time highs, where the posture is going to be. I do this in the markets and sectors class, folks. When I do get back from that sabbatical into the 1st of November, we're going to be having that markets and sectors class at this period of time on Friday. So it does move to exactly this time frame. And we're going to be looking at each and every week are those companies that did move, sectors and companies specifically, though, that did move, to see what might be setting up for the next week. And so I'm going to be looking still at market posture. We're going to be talking about that each and every week, so you can address that, as well as sector rotation. I wanted to mention that because my manager wanted me to point that out. Quick note, though, on a weekly chart, there is your exponential moving average of the 10. So this is a 10 weekly EMA. This is a 40 weekly EMA. If this gap continues, if there's an expansion between those two moving averages, folks, those exponential moving averages, all else equal, that's a positive. And by the way, that's in every case, it should be. You think about it. If you're hitting all-time new highs up here, you're going to be getting that expansion. So we are seeing weekly strength, no signs there of weakness whatsoever. A quick note on the daily chart, still pretty good expansion between these two. You can see the range in here is quite wide. One of the first indications that you'll see maybe of weakness is that you start to trade below that 10-period EMA. That might happen as a follow-through to prices closing below this candlestick, if in fact it does remain a doji. So I just want to throw a couple of things on your radar for next week. This is how the markets are moving now, and some things to keep your eyes on into next week. Okay, well, having said that, let's just go right into our sector rotation grid, which I do think is useful because this helps me drill down into some stocks right now. What are the weak points right now? Well, I'll just say the weak points, and this is going to be pretty easy to do. Energy. Relative to the market, using RS, we're using this down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Relative strength versus, and every one of these has relative strength in it, as you can see here. How are each of the 11 sectors in the S&P 500 doing relative to the market itself, to the S&P 500? That's what we're focused in on here. You can see it's kind of flat to down, energy down. I would say materials has barely begun to spike, along with, this is financials. These labels will slide up a little bit. Financials just a little bit too. Nothing major, nothing serious. Discretionaries, weak. Consumer staples, weak. So be mindful of this, because these are areas that you might want to be cautious about. Now, healthcare, really strong. This is not even the healthcare chart. We take a look at sector rotation. I've got to tell you something. It's going to be even stronger when we're looking at the healthcare chart, because that's just the move relative to the market. And the S&P 500 has actually been up. It's been up. I'll probably change this in the bottom right-hand corner, just to the S&P 500 chart. But we've seen some strength there. Very little in the industrials, infotech. When you cut interest rates, the growth areas tend to be strong, and sometimes defense does as well if there is going to be a true sector rotation, as opposed to, because you know what can happen? We can get a total risk-off situation in the market as well, where everything goes down at the same time. Generally, though, if some of the sectors are still showing some growth within earnings and maybe valuations look good, you'll see the defensive areas still show strength. And that's why this sector rotation can be so helpful. But this is clearly showing some key strength. Communication services, weak. Weak over here, real estate weak. But the third one to really show strength is right there, utilities. So be mindful of utilities here. Now, as we take a look at that, let me just show you quickly those charts. I showed this earlier in the week, but you guys didn't see that, many of you. I'll just quickly go through this, but these are the actual charts, and you can see, I told you it was going to be bigger. You see the flag? We've been talking about this flag for a while in the sector markets and sectors class, because if you can get a sector showing strength with the market in many of these industries, what else do you have left? I mean, that's a lot of underlying strength. That's top-down strength. Markets, sectors, industry, and then the individual stocks. That is a strong move right there. I'll maximize it so you can see it. But literally, this is what's happened this week. This has truly been, this kind of fits the definition of what we talk about in this class. By definition, and this is the sector, so all companies within the S&P 500 that fall within healthcare. There's a few industries in there, right? Biotech, pharma, there's a managed care, there's medical devices, and there's life sciences. I think those are the five, but there you have it. Look at this. We've been talking about it. Did we just see the flag? We did, but this doesn't mean it's over. It could be over, but it could start with an extended move to the upside. Healthcare's bouncing. This leads us to kind of believe right now, based on this, as some traders would say, that we're not really looking at a risk off in the market. We're looking at maybe a shift to some of the defensive groups, perhaps, which is weird because consumer staples, defensive in nature as well, has been weak. So this area, I've seen it be exclusive to some areas, but watch this into next week. Let's take a look at this. That is a 6-month. Let me just show you. Here's a 2-year. That's how long that had been down for, about a year and a half or so. So you could see a recovery here. In other words, you start to break up like this. When the trends get strong like this, folks, this is what I'd like to do. Just revert right back over here. Just gives you a general idea of what can happen when you have a strong trend. Take a look at it. I know it takes a long time actually off the bottom to form, but once you get moving and you can see how directional that price action is, look over here. These mini flag patterns. Mini flags. I had a great comment that came in on my YouTube, one of the YouTube classes I taught, just on our YouTube channel. We address these. Cameron will address these, has a number of comments all the time about his classes. I got one today that said, I think it was actually last night, that said, hey, I thought this was a flag pattern on some stock, and it was literally like this. It was a 1-day down. They thought that was a flag. So did I when I was a beginner. But on the strongest moves, sometimes you might get a 3 to 5 day pullback. I don't know if that person's listening right now, but hopefully. But that's just something to be mindful of, thinking about market movers going into the week ahead. 3 to 5 day pullback, sometimes that can happen, and you get the stronger move. I mean, it does often happen in the stronger moves, but we just want to put that potentially on our radar there. Okay, so the other one too, as you can see over here, materials kind of looks like a long-term sideways channel. I've got to tell you, gold has been really quite strong. I'm talking about underlying gold prices have been quite strong. And with that too, some of the gold miners have actually done quite well as well. There is an ETF for gold miners out there. We don't address ETFs in this class, but I was just going to state that, like, some of these stocks, AEM, that's a gold miner. Take a look at it. Okay, by the way, I think that might highlight when some of the strong trends break out. Do you see those little flags over there that are coming up? We've traded this multiple times, these companies, example trades, of course, paper traded them in that swing trade class because some traders might look at flags. And there you go. 3 to 5. These are a little bit longer. There's like a 3 right there, I guess. And then again. But look at that. I mean, these are just one after the other on some of the stronger moves. I wasn't even thinking about that, but the flags are making the point made. This is not, we looked at healthcare. This is actually materials, because gold and silver miners have been quite strong within these groups as well. I mean, if we're playing underlying gold, and there's been a lot of discussions on gold, why is gold showing so much strength? Well, a lot of times what can happen is when central banks start buying, which they have been buying, folks, they've got insanely deep pockets. I mean, imagine I was reading, Poland central bank had been buying. When a whole country starts to buy for its citizens or for its bank, it can be explosive and it could really move underlying gold prices. And of course, we're looking at the miners here, but that could influence uh, well, that could influence revenues revenues for these underlying, they get the stuff out of the ground, it's worth more. Just like it would be with crude or silver companies as well. So keep that in mind. But those tend to be, I mean, those are, right now have been on a really strong trend. So, still potentially there, a market mover. Now, I want to come over here. I'm going to take a look at this scan over here. Actually, this is interesting. This is a scan from last week. Excuse me, from yesterday in the ThinkScript class that I did. I might as well just use this one for now since I have it up. I was going to show you some of the other stocks in there, but this is an interesting point because just as we saw some of those healthcare stocks moving within the S&P 500, many of those are the same ones within the NASDAQ 100. Look over here. This screener pulled it out. Now, this is on the AVWAP. I know Cam's talked about it as well. That is the anchored volume weighted average price. Fascinating. I had so many topic requests for this. And finally, I said, "Wow!" I took a look at it. It's fascinating because one of the indicators that I do utilize is the money flow, which is cumulative buying. You can see how money flow. What it tries to do is look at buyers relative to sellers, prices going up if it was plus volume, or down if it's down volume. And you've seen a lot of up volume here. But if you can cross what's referred to as the anchored volume weighted average price, or a VWAP for short, line, and I don't have it on from yesterday still. Okay, so it's just a cool way to add both of these in. Let me take out, there are a few other ways that some traders will use these for targets, and that would be like the upper band, lower band type thing. I'm just going to take these out for now. I'm just going to show you, it gives people a sense, how the indicator works. This is on a very long term. This is gold. And by the way, if you look over here, it's really kind of an interesting indicator, but look over here with me. The anchored VWAP. Notice when we really started to move over here. Now, it doesn't have to happen this way, but this is what it tries to do. It tries to average the volume and average the price and says, hey, if we break above this, then the buyers are in control according to that indicator. And no indicator is 100%, but that's what it tries to look at. When we really cleared it there and took out that final resistance level, well, there you go. It really had a strong, strong move in there. This is a scan that I created that finds this. I'm just going to show you these. You can change it on a 3 month, 6 months, just to match your time frame here with the scanner. But let's do this right now. Show you some of these. Oh, okay, so Amgen's in there, and so is Regeneron, AMGN, just to kind of highlight. There it is. So this is a 1 year break above that level, and you can see we've moved around it a little bit. One of the things that you could say is if the whole sector's moving up, that could influence, because you have a lot of good news in all the other groups, and then sometimes there's an overlap into other groups, and this could help some of these groups go higher too. But I mean, you probably want to see it take out maybe that resistance level. But right now it suggests that buyers are in control, and a lot of times when you're breaking this line, it can be really quite positive as it does so. Okay, so keep that in mind. I think this one, let me just double check something here real quick. By the way, the ThinkScripts are not guaranteed for timeliness or accuracy. As long as the data is coming into the platform is good, then we're in good shape. That's the scan we built in ThinkScript. Okay, this was actually on a 3 month. So this is on a shorter time frame that a lot of traders will look at. I'm just going to show you this real quick, and then I promise to move on. But I will give you guys, I'll show you where you can get that scan at if you don't have it already. But here you have this. Oh, there you go. So this is the 3 month. You'll notice on a lot of these pullbacks, like potential flag patterns, resistance, break above, at least for now, and we'll see if it does follow through in the future. The other one, though, I think ADI was in there. Oh, it can act as support as well. See the potential flag pattern bouncing off support. The other one, though, healthcare, RGN. Okay, so some traders would say, gosh, it's above this line. Buyers are in control. 'Cause it's saying total volume versus total price, cumulative speaking on an average. Am I getting above the kind of value of where the mass of traders and investors think that the price is valued at? This is how that indicator kind of works. See if I still have this up. Okay, you'd want to go into, YouTube here. I'll just pull this up real quick and then, okay, there we go. This is the class right there. By the way, this is just a class that we have in our playlists, and you've got a number of these. You got one from Cam right there, Technical Analysis Concepts, and others in here that you can see. This particular one I've just got down here. It's generally at the bottom. This is the ThinkScript class. If you guys want to utilize that, that's definitely an indicator I think we'll be using in our swing trade class going forward here. But I'll go ahead and just right click on this. It did get posted a little bit late, unfortunately, but you guys can take a look at it over the weekend if you would like to. A quick note on that: under the more section, under the description section, there's the code for that as well. Okay, let me just post this in right there. Okay, there you have it. And by the way, Wiley's already got it there for you. Thank you, Wiley. Okay, very good. Just posted that in there. All right, I think we're caught up on some questions, so let's keep going. Okay, we got a couple more. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do this. So I'm gonna go over here, and I'm gonna go ahead and just take that off. By the way, I go through a full description of what the AVWAP line does, what it is, and how to also, if you're looking for it, to set different time frames. Normally, I stated in the class 252 is the 1 year. You got 126. You can set back the anchor bars and how far the look back period is. I don't want to get into too many details there, but I figured I should say something about it because I just happened to bring that up. All right, well, let's do this. Great way to use this scan tool, folks. Go into the scan, Stock Hacker. Once we've seen a number of healthcare stocks outperforming, maybe we want to use some of the tools on the platform to help us out. Now, to do that, what I'm going to do, let's just use NASDAQ, for example, S&P 500, whatever the case is. I can go up top here, and I can just actually right here to the right and intersect that with, I wouldn't expect a lot of healthcare companies in this group, but right down here in industry, healthcare, maybe not a lot in the NASDAQ. I'll show you in the S&P 500 here in just a second, but there you have it. You can find this 5-day change in here. I've also got a 1 month change as well. So how have they done on the week? Well, there you go. For companies that are in the NASDAQ 100, think in terms of market movers. What do we have here working in our favor right now? Think about top-down analysis. We start with the market up top. M for short. Market, well, you can't argue with the market. All-time highs. We saw the posture doing quite well. The sector, the healthcare sector, very strong. If we just take that right down into the stocks now, the stocks themselves, how have they been doing? Maybe some support through the market, the sectors, and finally, top down to our stocks. I missed the industry, but yeah, many of the industries are strong. But now you can see what some of these numbers look like and if they're positioned going forward as market movers. Quick note, got to look at the S&P 500. I know for a fact there's a lot more healthcare stocks out there. Let's scan it right now. And what I'm going to do is that 5-day percent. I'm just going to click on it again. And there you go. Wow, we had one that didn't even show up in the NASDAQ 100, and that is Bio-Techne, and it's a life sciences group. Those have been doing quite well. There you go. Performers. Now keep in mind, this group, as you saw, because you looked at the S&P 500, folks, that trend has been down, sloping to the right. Sometimes values can be created there, particularly if the industry itself, the sector, can reverse and go higher. There was some news that kind of got things started with Pfizer this week in terms of low-cost options, like matching low-price pharmaceuticals to outside the U.S. So trying to get the lower rate there. I know the industry was kind of concerned about that, and that could be a driver for this group. They're just saying, oh, maybe it's not, it's not just like people with private insurance or, but those on Medicare, that's where they're going to be cutting some of those costs for individuals. And so anyhow, there you go. So some things to consider there. There are some other columns too that will show it in color that you can actually, right click, customize, find those. There's my 1 month. This can be changed to a 5-day as well, and it's colored as well. So, all right. Well, we've hit a few of those. Let's hit one more over here. And do we have anything that might be kind of moving? It was utilities actually in the S&P 500. Let's just pull it up and see what it showed here. One of those that pulled up as I select, scan in S&P 500 and utilities right there. One of them that pulled up was AEP with that anchored VWAP, as you can see right there, up about real close to 5% this week thus far. It just hit 5. But these, again, remember, these have been quite strong. Let me just take a look at some of these. AEP. There you go. Okay, so what does AEP look like? That's the break above this line, anchored VWAP. But if I pull it back to the 1 year, okay, we're kind of getting to this point here where will it break the resistance or not? Extend higher, but plenty of those that have probably broken out because you saw utilities start to spike higher, and many of those are influencing the sector themselves. All right. Well, you guys, here, let's do this too. I want to make sure you have these. So these are not Think scripts, but I just want to make sure you have that sector grid so you can use this as well. I'll share this with you. Put this guy in the chat right now. Sector grid. And again, you'd find that in the same section that I just pulled it up at. And then finally, here are your charts. I'll leave you with those as well. All right, folks. Well, hey, if you're finding value from these presentations, give us a smash on that like button. Smash that like button. It does help to improve the YouTube algorithm, and lets me know as well that it has been useful, informative for you. These are just the 6-month sector charts, 6-month charts. I'll put that down so you can distinguish between the two. And everybody, let's see. Yeah, it did disappear. It did disappear, Don. It has been suspended. And it appears that one of the individuals that I reported an imposter account on, he convinced X that it was actually me who was the imposter of myself. And so I get my account suspended, but that account is still up and running, the one that I reported. So anyways, funny how things work out, and I can't just pick up the phone and call them. You've got to submit a process, which I did 2 days ago, and so hopefully something gets done over the weekend, but just don't interpret that, as I'm gone for a month and my account's suspended. It's not a good look, right? Not good optics, but just thought I'd throw that out there to you folks. Always great to be with you. Thanks so much, Cam, for your help as always in the chat. You guys, I'll tell you what, last class of the week. Have a terrific weekend, and see you next time. Take care, all.